think it's time to get started. Happy Sunday. So, been looking through things. After the, so first of all, Moody Abigail, thank you for the lurk. Work and lurk. Nice, that's a good emote. Is that one of yours? Looks like it is. Nice. Anyway, so last time around, I was working on browser notifications using the notification API to. Hold on, let's turn the music down a little bit more. To send a notification when things happen in the app. So like once the speech, the audio on the video has been transcribed, or once silence detection has happened, those background tasks have happened, I get a little notification saying, hey, it did the thing, or it started doing the thing, or what have you. So like, let's see. Yeah, unfortunately, I've not fixed. Let's see if we scan for clips. I think this is still going to be slow to save out. Unfortunately, if I click that, it's going to kind of freeze. But I'm going to fix that eventually. The point being that I did determine that, yes, the reason I was not seeing notifications was because in Windows I had turned off Windows notifications for Firefox and for everything basically, and apparently at least on Windows that controls like any kind of notification from other tabs through the notification API. So I had to turn that back on, which meant I had to go through and change a bunch of other things, but I was able to see notifications, and this does in fact work, which is good. I was kind of scratching my head as to, we're doing everything right in terms of the permissioning here in the notifications control, right? Where you can click and that calls notification.request permission and does the thing. So yeah, all of this does work, and we might actually see that if this ever finishes saving. Anyway, so that's all now committed and merged. What's that? Oh, I see. It's the headings. Yeah, okay. So wrap that up in a few different commits here to like we added the proxy timeouts and the ping, and so the ESLint stuff that I all talked about last time. So that's all now merged, and we should be able to just switch back over to main and pull things down. Also, there were some dependabot pull requests for dependency updates, which is good to just keep up to date, I suppose. So what are we doing today? Well, yeah, that's where that PR was. What are we doing today? I was actually going through the list of to-dos, and there's 44 of them. Let's close all this out. Going through the list of to-dos, and I kind of reordered things. There are some things that I want to do with how login works in the app, where like we just have these login buttons. It doesn't keep track of like, am I actually logged in right now? And if I click in log in with YouTube, it like redirects. And what I want to do is I want to have it where it is like a pop out, and I'll have like a thing where we're gonna, before it sends me directly to the Google login, it has like a splash screen, because that's the thing I decided I wanted to do. But I don't really want to mess with the login stuff on stream. Go figure. So move that down the list a little bit. There's some other stuff I eventually want to do, like trying out some other things for speech to text. So there's this Distill Whisper, and there's some stuff where we have like speech assistant, this repo here that's using it, and just trying some things out rather than using that the OpenAI Whisper from the command line. There's some variants there that you'd have to like programmatically call into. And we could do that at some point. This one here, follow on tasks. I did actually think of, because I think the last time I talked about this, I was like, well, what do I really need this for? So one thing is that in the UI, ooh, did this work? I think this worked finally. All right. So like if I refresh here, this data is here. Yes, good. Okay. So if I click start transcribe, there we go. So we get a notification. And then if I get audio, start silence detection, we should get a notification of the task 331. Status is now processing, which is the same thing that we're seeing over here. So yeah, so that all works, which is good. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so episodes, right? So I have this flag as published, and so what I'm doing now is after I get videos uploaded, like all of these videos have been uploaded now, I believe. It would be good to like mark them as published, rather than having to remember to come back and manually click that and save it. Yeah. But to do that right now is kind of challenging, because the part that does the upload to YouTube is a separate service from the part that actually has access to the database, and I don't want to make the part that's talking to YouTube also talk to the database. So that's the idea, is to have the task management system be able to go and call into the microservice that interacts with the database. So that's kind of the use case here, and I think we're gonna come back to that at some point, because that's gonna save me a couple clicks. But I think a more important thing right now is that this item right here. So I think I can show this on stream. This is the Google Cloud Console for Glowing Telegram. So this is like API calls. And this is our quota page. It's very bright. I'm sorry about that. And we're good right now, right? Current usage percentage 0. The quota for queries per day is 10,000. You may think, oh, that's a lot, but it's not. Because uploading a single video uses several thousand queries, according to the metric here. I'm going to look at usage chart over 30 days. Nope, no data. Cool. Well, oh, there it is. Right? So when I'm actually trying to upload videos, I'm using the quota, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's as many videos as I can upload. So it'd be really nice if I had a mechanism to like trigger the upload, and then the upload process would deal with the quota. it would try to upload until the quota is used up, and then it would wait, and then I guess do something. I wonder how we can oh, hold on. OBS is telling me. Okay, I guess we're good now. Some bitrate issues. Okay. Where was I going with this thought? So I think a question, if we look at the API, I think I have a tab with the API somewhere, maybe? Or did I close it? Oh, it's right there. It's very confusing because it's just a Google favicon. So yeah. So let's see. So currently we're using the insert endpoint, I think. The call to this method has a quota cost of 1,600 units. 1,600 units. Which is interesting. We're using more than that. I guess the question is does this, let's see, quota cost? Does it tell us more? Quota usage. Data API uses quota and should developers use services and the application's unfairly reduced service quality. Default quota allocation of 10,000 units per day. And that honestly is fine, right? You know, I'm not producing so many videos that would be a problem. It's just that because of the nature of how I'm like prepping a bunch of videos at once, I have a backlog. And so that is the thing I'm trying to solve, is I want to spread out. I want to be like, okay, now here's all the videos, start uploading them. And, you know, once it runs out of quota units, then it waits until it has some back. Now, yeah, you can estimate the number of requests. So one thing I could do is I could be like, I could keep track of how many quota units that I have myself, and then look at the task service would keep track of, you know, oh, well, this task doesn't have, you know, for this kind of task, or for this call to YouTube, like we have a pool of quota units in maybe the task service, and it would keep track of that, and it would decide whether or not to do something or to postpone doing something based on available units. That's an option. Alternatively, you know, we'd have maybe the YouTube API service itself returns back to the task API, hey, yeah, you need to retry this and wait X amount of time, and use kind of a delay kind of approach, which means that I don't need to worry about those details. So there's less state tracking internally within the whole Glowing Telegram application. To do that, I guess the question is, like, when I make a request, what does it look like if I'm out of quota? Hey, look, task is now complete. Very nice. Alright, so if I go back to Glowing Telegram and I go back to whatever it was I was doing, which is probably this one. I go to probably audio. That's going to finish first. Check status. Yeah, this UI could be nicer, but it works. Just double checking the data looks good. Yeah, and still slow to save, unfortunately. But what can you do? So. Let's go with API Explorer. API reference, yeah. Calling the API. You know what's really good? It's just like a general summary of... Oh, here we go. YouTube data API errors. Excellent. That's what I'm looking for. Quota exceeded 403. Error detail quota exceeded. And there are multiple kinds of 403 errors. Do we have an example of what the content of, like, how are we looking, how are we finding the actual error type? Not just the code, because obviously that's just the HTTP status, but the actual type and detail. How are we finding that? Sure. Like, okay, can we look at response? Like, it's cool to have an API Explorer, but what would be really nice would be like to literally see what a response would look like with one of these errors. Like, where in the body of the response would I find the error detail? And then you have a page that just lists errors, but again, it doesn't say, it doesn't tell me, it doesn't give me the answer to my question. And oh, okay, there's the scroll bar. No. And this is just this. Great. It's just a list of things. Samples. Okay. It's code samples. I don't care about that. What an interesting list. A broken page. Awesome. Interesting. GitHub? Do they have an example that actually has error handling? Like if we pick an arbitrary one. Oh no, they... Right. This is not going to... See, I don't see any, like... Yeah, Google API client, right? So all of the actual details about what's going on are buried inside of their API client. So let's find... Right, JavaScript, but this browser focused? Hard to say. Node.js quick start. Google APIs. Okay, still not what I'm looking for. Okay. Well. Ooh. I found a button that... I don't know what I just pressed, but it minimized all of my windows and then changed the location of everything. That's very unhelpful. Okay. Interesting. Give me a minute to put things back. was very disorienting. I couldn't find OBS for a second. Okay, cool. Anyway, right. So I was trying to press salts. D npm js dot. Is it word or com? Because it's com. Let's find this library and we'll dig into what it does. Because if you can't find documentation to answer a question, you can always, well, maybe you can find code that does it. And hopefully it's not, you know, something where it's just like generated from some really opaque thing. Right, so anyway, APIs. I'm not feeling great about my chances here. Let's take a look at what it does. Okay, so we have get API. Great. Where can I find error? Like, how is this? Yeah, this file is auto-generated. Yep, of course. I mean, that makes sense. That is what you would do, but API docs don't give me the, you know, tell me what I need to know. I guess I could just try calling the API. It's not going to give me a quota error for a while, but it could give me some other kind of error. And that would be informative. But why can't I just find documentation? Why can't I find the answer? So here's a discovery folder that has a bunch of JSON in it. I'm gonna guess though that what I'm looking for is not in here, but I'll look. It's large enough that it's kind of slow. Parameters, fields, resources. Quota. It's not looking good. Oh, there's the scroll bar. Usage. Yeah. So none of their examples, you know, so it's one thing in like introductory documentation not to worry about error handling, just have some general like, oh, there's an error, catch it, log it, exit, what have you. But somewhere you must have something that shows how you can look at the error to be able to determine what to do. Because otherwise, well, I guess I have to backwards engineer it, right? I have to call the API and see what it does and then work it out. It's not documented. It does not fill me with confidence. Here is another sample. YouTube videos insert. We await. We get a res. we probably just throw if this fails. But yeah, no error handling. Cool. So there's a chat feature. Oh, I have to sign up to a thing. You have this in the navigation. But I have to sign up for a thing for it. Cool. Pass. Where does this take me? Standard query parameters. Ooh, okay. So maybe there's like higher level documentation outside of that particular section for YouTube specific APIs. And it's what I'm looking for is here. Parameters, HTTP mapping, HTTP guidelines, response formats. No, that's still about the request. Like, you have request response formats, request methods, payload formats, streaming, message encoding. There's actually nothing about the response. Oh, it says that the response is application JSON. Cool. So what is the schema of an error? Errors. Okay, that's... Alright, I think my transcription is done. So that's good. Okay. Okay, cool. It's logically defined by... error messages. I am the user. Error message is not part of the API service. Okay. I don't care about the error message. I just want to know... And this is talking about RPC again. Error info provides structured error information that is stable and extensible. Yeah. Yeah, what if I'm not using gRPC? HTTP mapping? Okay. Okay, so I found it. Now, when I'm looking at... Here, let me duplicate this, because I need to go back. So error type is quota exceeded. Error details quota exceeded. So where... How does this relate to this? For a second, I thought this was going to tell me how to like synthesize an error by calling the API, but no. And this doesn't have the error that I'm looking for. All right. and this is all about the other side of this. If I was trying to impose a quota on an API, but we already have a quota. I don't suppose that function is defined in here somewhere. There are many inserts. Why are there so many? A bunch of different types. Okay. This calls create API request. So what does that look like? That's from Google APIs Common, a different package. Cool. All right, what was it called again? Create API request from API requests. There we go. Okay, we have a wrapper. I'm unsure as to whether or not this is going to produce anything, because potentially this may just like say, oh, there was an error from the, I think this is using Axios. So it may just say, oh, there was an error, and then throw that or reject that, rather than any kind of extraction of the error. Request options. Yeah, we're just interesting options, and then we return request. So we're not awaiting, we're not catching. But is there something inside of options that has any kind of, yeah, validate status? Okay. So there's nothing in here that actually does anything with any kind of potential error. It just tells the underlying library that things are okay if, you know, this is true. Which is not, that's not going to tell me what I'm looking for. Okay, maybe in schema? What's in schema? Auth. icons, schema, parameter, method. So all of this stuff, but nothing about the actual shape of the error. I'm not a fan. Okay, so I guess I am gonna do things the hard way. All right, so I think we should be able to very quickly get to an error. Because I'm not logged in this. So this is going to fail. There we go. 401 unauthorized. Excellent. So let's see what we get here. So we got a JSON response body. This looks kind of pretty close to the gRPC to HTTP documentation I did find a little while ago. There's a message. There's code. The code is just HTTP status, so that's not going to tell me anything. Status unauthenticated, reason auth error. So is this reason what I'm looking for? Doesn't appear in here. Common request errors, invalid filters. I mean, it does look like an error detail or error type. No, error detail. Request context errors, invalid part. So forbidden. Yeah, invalid credentials. So. Let's go back to, let's see, was it in this tab where I found the gRPC to HTTP relationship. Handling errors. So we got a 401 code. So here's the relation, right? Here's the thing. So code 400. And there's a code here. And there's a message. The message is not something that we should be using to identify the error, though. Status. What is status? This is the enum version for Google RPC status code. So status is not, so status is unauthenticated. So Google RPC status code. Can we see that? Okay, that's the message. Error code, error message, error details. Details is a list of messages that carry the error details. There's a common set of message types for APIs to use. Message is the developer-facing error message, which should be in English. Code. doesn't have a status. So there's a code resource exhausted. I wonder if that is the same thing as this. Who could say? I guess what I really need to do is just call the API a bunch until I exhaust the quota. That'll take a few minutes, but we can start that. So I have this saved. We have the transcript as well. I can save this. Countdown. There we go. Okay. Things to do. The application in action. All right. The application frozen. Right. So, in a different tab. Or have I frozen Firefox? Surely not. No, I just didn't like to duplicate the tab. Okay. So, what have I not uploaded? In actuality here. Let me find the right window that has all that info. Alright, so if I sort... so I see day 12 and day 11, so I think this is actually accurate that I have not uploaded the day 13 stuff. So let's get these uploaded. Alright, 1 second. So the thing that I've not done yet is make it so that the login doesn't show all of my Google accounts on stream. So move that over to the side for a minute. Alright, and then back to episodes. Alright, so now upload to YouTube. Yeah, that's threat category. Upload them. Alright. Yep. So 2 videos will start processing, as in uploading, and the other one will be queued. See, processing, queued. And I can pull over this as well, I think. And show this on stream. No secrets. There we go, this is what this looks like. Yeah. So, we got 2 pending videos here. While this is going, and then we can look at the. Is it this one? It's this one. We can see what the quota is doing while we're doing this, because we should be eating up that quota. Real soon. Any time now. And it is an adjustable quota, but I would have to go through a bunch of steps and get approval for the whole application, as if this was a product or something that I was making, and it's not right now. It's just a thing for me, so I can't be bothered. And honestly, dealing with quotas is a thing I should just do, regardless of what it is. And at some point this will happen. In the meantime, I can pull up the Docker desktop and we can look at logs, hopefully. Why do I not see that in my task tray? YouTube API. And I'm pretty sure I've made this, so it's not going to leak credentials from the log. Let's take a look and see if we can spot a credential or other sensitive information. There's a client ID, but that's not secret. There we go. YouTube client secret is redacted. So we're doing okay. Now the question is going to be in the code. Finally, we are about an hour into the stream today, and I am finally going to look at some code. It might be a record. So in the YouTube upload API, like when we get an error, do we log out the whole error? So we look at upload task. There we go. And then we do things. And at some point we build the request. And we put together a bunch of headers and a body. And then if there's an error, we trace E. Now, I guess the question is going to be, will this error trace, like capturing the error here, is this going to serialize? It's like going to stringify into something that tells us what the actual payload was. And I guess the other thing is that this is only going to have an error if we have like a network issue. So probably it's going to be here. Yeah. If it's not successful, then we trace error. Response status and response text await. So response text await should be like the JSON response body. So we should see that response in the log. Get the full response text. Decodes the response body with bomb sniffing, with malformed sequence replaced with replacement character. Determined by the chart set parameter of content type header. Very nice. Okay, so that should be good. Actually, what was that? What was that example? Oh, I see. Okay, cool. So unfortunately, part of this is going to just be waiting for the uploads to happen and for the quota to be exceeded, and then we'll see what the actual error is. And then where do we go from there? Well, I think what's going to make the most sense, finally circling back to like how are we going to solve the issue. So we are probably going to have something here that's going to detect, oh, this is a quota issue, right? So I guess the question is, right now, what happens? So if there's any kind of error at all, I know that the existing tasking system just gives up, apparently. It doesn't retry, because we throw in it, we return an error. We return like a 500 error here. So in the task worker, right, task worker is responsible for actually taking the task and then calling our YouTube upload API service, which does the upload. So that happens somewhere here. Yes. Right. So right now, here we go. Oh, right here. Yeah. We get the response. If the response is not 200, update the status to failed and break. Okay. So we just say if we get a non-200 error, if we get a non-successful, right? So something less than 200, greater than 299, we just mark it as a failure and stop processing it. What we could do is, what we need to do is define what this interface is, where the task can signal back to the task worker that we can't do the work right now and it needs to be processed. One. And two, the task worker needs to, let me actually write this down. The task worker needs to, let's see, somewhere I have it. Okay, so we're working on this. Let's turn this into an issue. Make an issue of it. Make some things to do here. So, find what a quota error type being return. Maybe not a quota error type, like a retry later. Right, that's what we're trying to say here, is that the thing doing the work says, okay, we still want to do this. This can still be done. It just needs to be retried later. From the microservice. Should look like. And then make the task worker skip over tasks that aren't ready to be run yet. And then make the task worker respect that error, the one that I'm talking about right above this line, and save that status. This is an issue. Literally, it's a GitHub issue. Number 95. All right. Yes. It's actually like all of the stuff that I'm doing here, except for the code that I'm like writing locally right now that I haven't pushed up yet. Although I've not actually made any code changes in the last hour, but once I start and I push them up, everything will be in this GitHub repository that's publicly available at sabin/glowing telegram. All right, so still waiting for videos to be, it looks like we're still uploading, which makes sense. It takes a minute. How are we doing with the quota? Are we consuming quota? I might have to check to see if maybe something went wrong. Oh, there we go. Yeah. 3,200. So once we approach 10K, then we'll start getting errors, and we'll be able to figure out what the error looks like and handle it. But that will be after the break. So I'm gonna pause here for just a few minutes so I can go stretch my legs and get some water, and I'll be back in a few. BRB.